the core idea in John C. Maxwell's book, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. Maxwell, a leadership expert, teaches that every loss carries a valuable lesson, encouraging us to embrace a growth mindset and see setbacks as opportunities for future success. His book offers practical advice and inspiring stories, making it a guide to turning adversity into advantage. Chapter 1. The Foundation. Humility, the spirit of learning. Without humility, we can't truly learn from our experiences, especially our failures. Why? Because pride blinds us to our own flaws and mistakes. When we think we know it all, we close ourselves off to new information and growth. Maxwell tells us a compelling story about a young entrepreneur who, after a series of successful ventures, failed spectacularly in a new business. Instead of admitting his mistakes, he blamed everyone else, his team, the market, even his customers. It wasn't until he embraced humility and recognized his own shortcomings that he could pivot, learn from his errors, and ultimately achieve even greater success. Humility opens the door to learning. It allows us to accept constructive criticism, reflect on our actions, and grow from our experiences. Without humility, we risk repeating our mistakes and stunting our own growth. Chapter 2. Reality, the foundation of learning. Facing reality means confronting the truth about our situation, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. It's about acknowledging where we are, what we've done wrong, and what needs to change. Maxwell shares the story of an athlete who was once at the top of his game but suffered a devastating injury. Instead of accepting his new reality, the athlete lived in denial, thinking he could return to his previous form without adapting his training or mindset. It wasn't until he faced the reality of his situation that he could make the necessary adjustments, recover fully, and even improve his game in unexpected ways. Facing reality isn't about being pessimistic or giving up, it's about being honest with ourselves. It's about understanding our current limitations, acknowledging our mistakes, and planning for improvement. Only by accepting where we are can we chart a path to where we want to go. Chapter 3. Responsibility, the first step to learning. Taking responsibility for our actions, both good and bad, is crucial to learning and growth. When we blame others or make excuses for our failures, we give away our power to change the situation. Maxwell uses a vivid example of a company CEO who, after a significant market loss, took full responsibility for the company's failures rather than pointing fingers at the market conditions or his team. This act of ownership not only earned him respect, but also gave him and his team the motivation and clarity to address the company's shortcomings and turn things around. Taking responsibility empowers us. It puts us in the driver's seat of our lives and careers, allowing us to make the changes necessary for improvement. When we own our mistakes, we also own the solutions. Chapter 4. Improvement, the focus of learning. Once we accept responsibility, the next step is to focus on improvement. Maxwell emphasizes that learning from losses is not just about recognizing our mistakes but actively working on improving them. He encourages a mindset of continuous improvement, always looking for ways to grow and develop regardless of our successes or failures. He recounts the story of a successful musician who, despite her fame, constantly sought feedback and found areas to improve. Even at the peak of her career, she never stopped learning, evolving her style, and honing her craft. This commitment to improvement kept her at the top of her game and allowed her to stay relevant in a rapidly changing industry. Improvement isn't a destination, but a journey. It's about striving to be better today than we were yesterday. Whether it's a skill, a mindset, or a habit, there's always room for growth, and that's where our focus should lie. Chapter 5. Hope, the motivation of learning. When it comes to overcoming setbacks, hope plays a crucial role. Maxwell describes hope as the driving force that keeps us going even when the odds are stacked against us. It's the belief that things can and will get better, that our efforts will pay off, and that every failure brings us one step closer to success. Maxwell shares a moving story about a teacher working in an underfunded school with at-risk students. Despite the numerous challenges and the high dropout rate, she remained hopeful. Her unwavering belief in her students' potential became contagious, motivating them to strive for better futures. Many of her students who were once written off went on to achieve remarkable success, all thanks to her hope and determination. Hope learning from losses becomes nearly impossible. When we lose hope, we lose the will to fight, to improve, and to persevere. Hope keeps us looking forward, keeps us resilient, and most importantly, keeps us learning. Chapter 6. Teachability, the pathway of learning. Maxwell then introduces the concept of teachability, our willingness to learn from every experience, especially the negative ones. Teachability means having an open mind, being willing to listen to others, and recognizing that we don't have all the answers. He tells the story of a young executive who was initially resistant to feedback and stuck in his ways. His lack of teachability led to a series of professional missteps and stagnation in his career. It wasn't until he embraced a teachable spirit, actively seeking out mentors, listening to his peers, and learning from his mistakes, that he began to grow both personally and professionally. Teachability isn't just about acquiring knowledge, it's about being open to new ways of thinking and doing things. It's about learning from every situation, every person, and every setback. When we stop learning, we stop growing. But when we remain teachable, every experience becomes a lesson, and every failure becomes a stepping stone. Chapter 7. Adversity, the catalyst for learning. Adversity often provides the most valuable lessons. When everything is going well, we tend to become complacent. It's during the tough times that we're forced to dig deep, reflect, and find new ways of doing things. Maxwell shares the story of an Olympic athlete who, after missing the podium by a fraction of a second, didn't give up. Instead, she used her loss as motivation to train harder, refine her technique, and push her limits. Her adversity became her advantage, and in the next Olympic Games, she not only won gold but also broke the world record. Adversity isn't something to be feared or avoided. Instead, it should be embraced as an opportunity for growth. It challenges us, stretches us, and ultimately makes us stronger. When we see adversity as a teacher, every setback becomes an opportunity for a comeback. Chapter 8. Problems, opportunities for learning. Our attitude towards problems largely determines our ability to learn from them. When we see problems as opportunities, we're more likely to find creative solutions and grow in the process. Maxwell recounts the story of a tech startup that faced a massive data breach. Instead of panicking or giving up, the company's leaders saw the problem as an opportunity to improve their security systems and build a stronger product. This proactive approach not only saved the company, but also positioned it as a leader in cybersecurity. Don't run from problems. Face them head-on, see them as opportunities to innovate, and use them as a platform for learning and growth. The bigger the problem, the greater the opportunity. Chapter 9. Bad experiences, the perspective for learning. Bad experiences can provide some of the most profound learning opportunities if we're willing to learn from them. Instead of seeing them as failures, we should view them as valuable lessons that help us grow. Maxwell shares the story of a surgeon who, after losing a patient, was devastated and considered quitting medicine altogether. But instead of giving in to his despair, he chose to learn from the experience. He sought feedback, reflected on his actions, and dedicated himself to becoming a better doctor. Today, he's one of the most respected surgeons in his field, with a legacy of saving countless lives. Bad experiences are inevitable, but how we respond to them is what defines us. If we maintain a positive perspective and see every bad experience as a learning opportunity, we can turn our setbacks into setups for future success. Chapter 10. Change, the price of learning. In order to learn and grow, we must be willing to change. This involves changing our mindset, our habits, and sometimes even our goals. He tells the story of a business leader who was initially resistant to change. His company's outdated practices led to declining sales and a loss of market share. It wasn't until he embraced change, implementing new technologies, adopting a customer-centric approach, and rethinking his business model, that his company turned things around and became a market leader once again. Don't fear change. Embrace it. Be willing to adapt and evolve. Learning often requires us to step out of our comfort zones, let go of old ways of thinking, and embrace new ideas and approaches. Change is the price of growth, and it's a price worth paying. Chapter 11. Maturity. The value of learning. Maturity is the ability to see the big picture, to understand the long-term consequences of our actions, and to make decisions based on wisdom rather than emotion. Maxwell shares the story of a young investor who, after suffering significant losses in the stock market due to impulsive decisions, learned the value of patience and long-term planning. Over time, his maturity in decision-making led to more consistent and sustainable success in his investments. Maturity isn't about age, it's about experience and the lessons we learn from them. It's about understanding that winning and losing are both parts of life, but it's the learning from each that truly matters. As we mature, we become better equipped to handle challenges, make wise decisions, and achieve sustained success. Chapter 12. Winning isn't everything, but learning is. Life isn't just about achieving success or avoiding failure, it's about the journey, the growth, and the lessons we learn along the way. Life is a series of wins and losses, but the real value lies in the learning. When we learn, we grow. When we grow, we become better equipped to handle whatever life throws our way. The goal isn't to avoid losing, but to embrace every loss as a learning opportunity. So the next time you face a setback or encounter a failure, remember Maxwell's words, "You didn't lose, you just learned." And in learning, you've taken a crucial step towards becoming the best version of yourself. Liked what you learned today? Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay inspired and keep growing.